Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Protein Bros podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Wasserman, and I am here to tell you about today's episode. It is just Kyle and I. Kyle and I are in the midst of 75 hard. We are in the 60s as far as days go, and we just kind of discuss what got us into it, what the trials and tribulations have been along the way, as well as joining Operation Transformation from Supplement Superstores and the advantages and the positives that we've been getting out of that. We have a lot to discuss here as far as how to stick with a plan. If you are somebody who struggles at all with dieting and exercising on a consistent basis, this is absolutely one to lead into. We hope you guys get a lot of enjoyment and value out of it. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. A rare episode of Just Kyle and I.
The rarest of rare.
You guys get excited. This is not a 5 good questions with Jeff and Kyle. This is not a guest spotlighting episode. This is me and Kyle just getting real with y'all on something we've been doing for the last however many days.
65 days.
65 days. About a few months back, me and Kyle were talking. We said, man, we need to be better. We need to be better leaders. We need to be better men. We need to be better, family members. And, what do you want to do? And there's a couple of tools that we've used in the past that have worked well. And we wanted to exercise that one more time. And those tools that we're going to talk about today, what are they, Kyle?
So for the last 65 days, we have been doing 75 hard. And then once the last 8-week challenge of Operation Transformation started up, we also entered into that. Mm-hmm. So we have 75 hard, and we are also doing the Supplement Superstores 8-week challenge known as Operation Transformation.
And for our listeners, Kyle, what are the differences between those two programs?
Yeah, I would say the main difference between the two is 75 hard is basically a list of stipulations that you have to follow every single day. And you do that every single day for 75 days. The first one being you have to follow a diet. The second one being you need to have 2 workouts a day, one inside and one outdoor. Your outdoor cardio has to be 45 minutes. The third being that you have to drink a gallon of water a day. The fourth being you need to take a picture of yourself every single day. And then the fifth is you have to read 10 pages of a book.
Nonfiction.
Got
to be something that helps you.
And then the Operation Transformation is an 8-week challenge. It's ran through our company, Supplement Superstores. And my big thing with Operation Transformation, why I love it so much, is it provides people a community of people that are like-minded that are trying to achieve similar goals, and that's typically, during this time of year, it's going to be weight loss. It's going to be rehoning, discipline for whether it's diet, exercise.
We'll get into like why it's valuable later.
For sure.
Cool.
For sure. But those are kind of the differences between the two.
Right. For our listeners, I think these are things that everybody can relate with. And just to be clear, just because we own a nutrition retail store doesn't mean that we are void of having the same problems everybody else has when it comes to following a diet.
Speak for yourself, dude. I'm perfect. I never have ever not been disciplined in my entire life.
That is your gift.
I'm just joking. I'm totally joking.
That's totally a gift for you. No. Yeah. You've never had that problem.
No, I'm just joking.
Okay.
I definitely have as much problems with discipline as anybody else.
This isn't true, by the way, everybody. Kyle actually has a superpower there. I once tried to get this guy to eat Taco Bell when he was like 22 years old, and I don't care what time of day it is. You're like 20, 22 years old. How do you say no to Taco Bell? It was one of the first memories Jeff. I have with Kyle.
Yeah, I was dieting for a bodybuilding show, and he
was not. He was 100%
I was just trying to be. I was like in a cut or something like that.
He was just like, I don't want to eat like shit right now because I'm like trying not to look like shit, which is like 100% like a very worthy thing to think. And I went and got Taco Bell and had a couple extra tacos. I wanted someone to join in with my guilt, and no one wants to eat a buffet by themselves. Think about it. And I was like, I just had Taco Bell. You want to have some Taco Bell? He's like, nah, man, I'm good. And I was like, you just complained how you didn't have any food today. And here I am to the rescue with the taco. He's like, nah, man, I'm good. And in that moment, I was like, you're going to eat this fucking taco. What?
Yeah. And I was like,
so
get
upset.
Out of my face. I'm not, I don't
was
want the
so
taco.
upset. This was at
it's maybe if it was a chalupa, but a taco, like get that out of here, dog.
Springfield South, circa 2010.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how this went down. But anywho, we were both going through things, man, where 2022 was a year for us where we were really, really working on the business versus in the business. And then obviously applying a lot of time here to the Protein Bros podcast. And, in that time, dude, I'm looking back already at some of the reviews. We just posted a review yesterday when you guys showed me in the Shamrock shirt. And I was like, damn, you all are terrible friends. None of you guys said a word.
Hey, man, I say word. If you want, dude, listen.
My veins were coming out of my forehead. Like, man, what was my blood pressure in that video?
Yeah, you looked
unhealthy.
Like you looked unhealthy. That's
bottom
for sure.
line, unhealthy.
Yeah, man. We've worked together for such a long time, and your weight has gone up and down, and I know it's something you've struggled with, and I, over the years, have, tried lots of different tactics to try and motivate you to stay a certain way. I've been hard on you. I've been lenient on you. And what I've come to realize is that, Jeff does what Jeff wants to do. And I just need to be there and be as supportive for him as I can.
And he shows that never.
Oh, come on,
guys,
dude.
Listeners, don't listen to his BS that he's selling you right now.
He's
only got one tactic, and that's rip on you like we're in middle school.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
He's only got one tactic.
I don't know if that's
you really gonna eat that, bud?
Yeah.
That's his go-to right there.
Dude, I like to talk to Jeff in a condescending way, which he loves.
Yeah. But
No. Okay. So let's talk. Getting back to 75 hard. What made you? Because we kind of basically were on the same page as soon as the new year kind of happened.
Sure.
We both were like,
dude, we got to do something.
We got to do something. And what was the things that led up to us starting it that made you want to kind of dive into that?
Okay, I think most people can listen and understand. Everybody knows where we're at when it comes to, around the turn of the year. We're all thinking, man, I just ate a lot of crappy food around the holidays, or I just wasn't as consistent as I've always been, or I've been in the past. And I'd like to return to that, and I think we can all relate to that. So what I really want to get into is, in this instance, it's like just me growing as a person. We talked about earlier that, I've lost weight, or I've struggled with my weight, or I've gone up and down a handful of times in my life. I've been a quintessential yo-yo dieter, and I've documented this on my Instagram. If you follow me there, you can see some different posts where I show some before and afters and kind of like what I was going through in those times. But I've always been results driven. I've always been, I'll be happy with myself when I get to this point, versus I'll be happy with myself when I have these habits.
Yeah.
Right.
You instead of thinking about process, you're very much
results driven versus process driven. And I'm like, I don't value the working out aspect. It stopped being fun when it started becoming a job. That's the truth. I lost that, that fun where I felt like going to the gym felt like kind of going to work, because everybody knows you as the supplement superstores guy. And a lot of the people that work for us now can relate to that, where it's like, I'm here to network. I'm here to, build relationships. And I also kind of got to take that time to myself, to be with myself and work on myself and love myself, respect myself, so on and so forth.
Yeah, the big thing, just to interject really quickly, if any of our employees are listening to us, is the best way to network and to make relationships in gyms is if you want people to respect your opinion when it comes to supplements, fitness, exercise, they have to respect your work ethic.
Yeah, got to be the hardest worker in there.
It's the biggest thing. So if you think you're going into the gym just to have a chat fest, you are losing respect. You are not gaining it.
That's right. But I didn't understand that aspect, honestly, in the beginning. And the truth is because I was selling myself some BS that I was buying. And that was that I need to talk to these people. But in the reality was I just didn't really feel like working out. So I'm just talking because I actually enjoy talking.
Yeah.
Weird enough, we started a podcast. I think everybody knows that now. So when it comes to where I'm going and where I'm at, dude, let's be clear. I'm 34 years old. And if you don't think that you don't ponder your age when it comes to like your fitness, you're lying. Everybody wonders, what am I going to look like at this age? What am I going to look like at this age? How well am I going to be able to move at this age? And I'm like, man, I'd like to, stop buying into my own BS and having ups and downs. And my yo-yo peaks and lulls have become smaller and smaller and smaller. My extremes have become less and less and less over the years. But this one was really different because that discipline that I wasn't exercising in my life was, I feel like, affecting my relationship with my girlfriend. I feel like it was affecting my relationship at home in general with, her daughter. I felt like it was affecting my ability to be a strong leader. it all goes into it, because if you're fighting a battle with yourself, you don't have space to be able to pour into others. And the more that you pour into yourself, the more that you take care of yourself first, right? Serve yourself first, the more that you actually have the space to serve others. And so it's been really great for me. Just, what I've gotten out of 75 Hard the most, I would say, is that, and we'll extrapolate on that later. But that's really my why, what made me want to get into it, was just like, man, I find myself having too much time with myself as far as these battles that you're fighting internally. And it's so unnecessary. You can really just turn that off by just doing what you need to do and keeping the promises you make to yourself. And so that really speaks to me with 75 Hard. And I know Andy created 75 Hard and talks about these issues that he had as well. And so that always really resonated with me. Mm-hmm. How about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it wasn't necessarily diet related as to why I wanted to start 75 Hard. For those of you listening that might not know, I have 3 kids, and my life with my son being born basically just got thrown into like a spin cycle. I felt like for the last year or so that me and my wife have basically been getting our schedules dictated to us. And it's basically like we're just holding on for dear life. And coming out of basically, hunting season into the holiday season, into the New Year's, it felt like, holy shit, I felt like we were holding on for dear life as far as our schedules go. I'm like a very regimented person. Like I like to have, I get up pretty much the same time every day. My schedule looks pretty much the same. And if I don't have that, I feel it makes me unhappy.
Just out of sorts.
And so I had never completed 75 Hard, still haven't, still got 10 days, but I'd never completed 75 Hard. I did 63 days of it in the past, but I appreciated the structure it gave me when I did it originally. And I knew that I wanted to have that structure, and I needed something that was an anchor to it. I couldn't just say I'm going to do these things, because if there's no anchor, if I'm not like actually following a specific...
Describe an anchor for our listeners here.
An anchor would be like, I have no way around it. I have no way to say, I'm just not going to do that today, right? No out, right? Yeah. And when you have kids, it is so easy to be like, dude, freaking Clara didn't sleep last night. Maddie, has been a nightmare all night. Sully's not wanting to go to bed. I'm just not going to do cardio tonight. And there's no reason, that I would have to. But when you're doing something like 75 Hard, it's like, nah, you have to do it. You just have to figure it out. You have to do it.
Yeah. There's no obligation. Yeah. There's no, you just have an obligation. You just can't.
And so I wanted to do that because of the structure of schedule that it was going to force me into. And I also wanted to do it because it's not like I drink a ton, but I was drinking more often than I typically do through the holidays. And it was like, I just got to a point where I was like, man, I just want time off. And I knew that we had, the Chiefs were going to make a run into the Super Bowl, right. Eventually won the Super Bowl. And it, like the thought of, here's more weekends of drinking or drinking more during this time, it was exhausting to me. And I never need an out to be like, I don't want to drink, but it is an easy way of being like, nah, I'm doing 75 Hard. I can't drink.
That's cool, man. And why we decided to do Operation Transformation, right? I think we need to get into that too, because that 8-week challenge is, there is such thing as like a 75 Hard community, I guess, but dude, I can't go work out with them.
Yeah.
Operation Transformation, dude, is phenomenal, right? Mm-hmm. It's an 8-week challenge. Well, how it differs from 75 Hard is it doesn't have all these same requirements, but it does give you a structured meal plan. It does have an accountability community that you can talk to on Facebook every day. Other people that are doing the exact same things as you, having the same struggles as you. The community is it, dude. Mm-hmm. It is it. Like when you look at, success rates in any kind of fitness endeavor, the community that you are surrounded with is going to dictate your results almost 99% of the time. If you don't have a good, strong community around you, then the possibility of you getting the best possible results goes down dramatically. It's unreal, like the level of value that it gives too, because it's the best it's ever been. So if you guys have ever, if you're listening to this and you've done our Operation Transformation programs, that's awesome. We love that you've tried it. I can tell you right now, it's the best it's ever been now. And it's free. So I would just say, this sounds like a sales pitch, because it is.
It's a sales pitch. Go buy our stuff. Oh, it's free. Never
It's
mind.
free. Yeah, you can literally get recipes, accountability. They actually give you weight or actual programs. They'll actually send you programs. I mean, it's just, if you were looking to get in shape, it is literally the nicest, easiest thing you could possibly do for yourself. Not to mention you get an in-body scan anytime you want while you're in there, and it lets you know your progress along the way. So it was easy for us to just jump into Operation Transformation as well, because we had started 75 Hard a week or two prior. We are on week 7 now, I believe, of Operation Transformation.
It's coming to an end.
Coming to an end. I'm excited to send in my after photos. They're looking pretty great, especially after I saw my review from yesterday that you guys posted.
I'm absolutely
Did you see that?
jacked and tan.
It was terrible.
I'm not tan. I'm just joking. Sorry.
Not yet.
Should I get a spray tan for my after?
If you're under 200 pounds, you're no longer possible to be jacked. You're just under 200 pounds.
Take it back.
If you're not, listen.
Take it back.
In the words of Andy Frisella, who invented 75 Hard,
back.
if you're not 200, you're 150.
Hey, dude, here's one thing.
If you're not 200, you're 150. That's what he said.
I'm.
And you know it, because yesterday Kyle goes, I need to get back up to 200.
I actually don't want to get back to 200. Here's one thing that I've learned. So I don't
Kyle's
know how
been
you've been doing.
260, so he really does have a good opinion on this.
I've completely changed the outlook that I have on my fitness. I pretty much do everything now with the overall thought process in mind of longevity. Like, I want to be able to play with my grandkids, and not just play with my grandkids. I want to be like, have a good quality of life around that time. And so, one of the contributing, if you want to know, oh God dang, I'm so shredded, dog.
150.
One of the biggest factors in longevity is just body weight. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to live longer, typically the less you weigh, the longer you're going to live. And it doesn't really serve me any purpose anymore in the training I do. I mean, I do CrossFit. And for the most part, I'm not losing any CrossFit workouts because of my strength.
Right.
It is always going to be something that is endurance related. And I will say right now, I'm probably in the best endurance shape that I've ever been in. It's pretty crazy how much, and this is not going to surprise anybody, but when you do zone 2 cardio every single day for 45 minutes, you get pretty damn good shape. And that's basically where I'm at.
All right. That's awesome, dude. I've been able to watch Kyle's, fitness transformation, over the years, and we can honestly have an entire podcast just about our own personal, fitness journeys. Right. But this is more about just this one that we're having right now in this moment. Right. So
Correct.
On 75 Hard, this is something that's going to speak to, I think, the majority of everybody listening. And I really want to spend some time on it. And that is all the shit that you tell yourself not to start 75 Hard.
Oh, I did it for a lot. Dude,
you did it for a lot?
I did it for a lot of years.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to say.
Dude, and so I'm saying there's a lot we can talk on here. And so
here's the thing, Jeff, how many times have you completed 75 Hard? You've done it multiple times, yeah?
Yes, I have. I've only done it one time. This is my second time where I've completed it. I also tried phase 1, and I failed phase 1 after 9 days. And to be clear, phase 1, the only difference is adding in, I believe, 10 minutes of meditation and a 5-minute cold shower. Yeah. This was way before the cold plunge craze. Mm-hmm. So you just, didn't have to go get a horse trough. You could just turn on the cold water in your shower and stand there. But anywho, why you're not starting 75 Hard. Let me give you all of the reasons why I was like, screw this. Okay. First of the year, it was like a Saturday. And so no one wants to start on a Sunday. 1, 2, it was freezing on that Sunday. I remember it was like an ice storm day 2. I was like, wow, no one's going to start their New Year's resolutions this year on the 1st or the 2nd. It's going to be like the 3rd, right? Anyways, you and I start on the 5th, but it was in the heat of Chiefs season. And I know people might dismiss this or whatever, but the Chiefs actually mean a lot to me. Mm-hmm. As in I follow as a fan. It's the only thing that I really fan out on. I'm a genuine fan of only one thing really at this point. And that is I go to training camp and I watch the draft. I watch the combine. I watch all the players. I love football. right?
It's true. Jeff knows more about the Chiefs than I could ever even imagine. He knows practice squad people. He knew what was his name, Kemp, when he got pulled up.
Yeah,
you're like, dude, he's from the practice squad.
Marcus Kemp.
Marcus Kemp.
Yeah,
he just got traded.
He's a special teamer, but he ended up getting like 4 catches in the AFC Championship game, and he had 4 catches his entire career. Amazing stat. Anyway, we are just huge fans of the Chiefs or whatever, and so anyways, I'm in the middle of season. We're season ticket holders. And we have all you can drink seats. We have all you can eat seats. Let me be clear on this, guys. When we go to these games, there is legitimately like ribeye steaks and lobster. There's surf and turf every week of some sort. There's like Nashville hot chicken sliders. There's like 7 different types of desserts. And it's all you can eat. And you paid good money for these seats, right? You don't want to waste that money. Oh, I certainly don't want to waste money. Like that's another reason why I've always been able to convince myself that I should eat like shit or that I should not be on my plan was because, well, it was free. Someone gave it to me. It throws me off every time. I'm talking like ever since I was like 18 years old trying to be on a diet. Mm-hmm. If someone, you're a cheap, poor college kid, it's like if someone hands you free food, you take it, and I've always did that. So bottom line, dude, I just like had all these reasons and I just knew at the end of the day, it's like, dude, what point do you want to say, what, screw it? Are you going to be the person that you want to be, or are you just going to keep being the same person, And I knew that like in this moment, like I'm going to keep being the same person if I go to these Chiefs games and use for potentially, let's say like the best case scenario, right? It's early January. It's freezing. There's nothing fun about like wanting to go out and go outside for any other reason, right? And you're trying to tell yourself, I need to get in shape. But I had, just like the holidays do this to other people, including ourselves at times, I had potentially 3 games, right? A divisional round, a championship game, and a Super Bowl that I would want to eat like shit or drink at. And I would be over the course of 6 weeks. And I could have made a bad decision where I said, I'm not going to really start. I'm not going to really go until after the Super Bowl, which is the actual official start of like diet season for most people. Mm-hmm. Most people don't truly go after it and try until after the Super Bowl, because Super Bowl Sunday is, for no matter who you are, if you watch the game, you're not having a salad, right? And so for the years, it's always been like when I really try is after a Super Bowl. This time I was like, dude, screw it. You know what? And if I'm being honest, if Kyle, you didn't say I'm doing 75 hard starting this week, I said, when do you want to start? And I made you pick. I let you take the wheel on it. You're like, let's start tomorrow. I was like, fuck you. Fine. We had a game to go to like that weekend. I'd
been eating like a clean diet that whole week too. I mean, I could have started on Monday, but I felt like it, back to my kids, I felt like I had to get everything in order with like my house and my
get Kim on board and so forth, right?
Which, yeah, that's a whole different thing that we can talk about is having a supportive significant other and making sure they're on board to help you. But, yeah, I just wanted to get all of that in order before I rolled it out. But really, I've basically probably been doing 75 hard essentially for 70 days, even though we started on the 5th.
But like the excuses that you told yourself on why not to do it,
My big thing and why I've always over the years, because obviously Andy Frisella started 75 hard. Me and Jeff worked for Andy for a very long time. And, the reason that I hadn't gone back and finished it or started it again, and this is going to sound bad, but I always go back to, I'll look at my calendar and I'll have something on there where it's like a golf trip with my friends, or I'll have, an AFC championship. And I don't actually.
What was it for you on the 63? Wasn't it like you going to Haiti?
Yeah, I went to Haiti. I was kind of, I
more or less a mission trip.
I couldn't finish that purely because I wasn't going to be like in Haiti, like, all right, guys, I know you guys are, doing this thing, but I'm going to go on, to be clear, I'm going to go on a walk.
You also could have you were carrying like boulders up mountains, you know what I'm saying? So it's
it was more
call that a workout.
It was more, I didn't want, here's my thing with 75 hard. And I've always really respected the rigidity, the stipulations of it. Right. And I didn't want to ever bend on those. And so I wasn't going to call it 75 hard because it kind of was, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I wanted to make sure that if I was going to claim that I did it, that I wasn't bending the rules at all. It was specifically like I had the time and the effort put into it to be able to say I did it all the way. And so that's why I basically cut off from doing it the first time. But going back to the reason why I've always made excuses is I always had, yeah, dude, that was a fucking trip of a lifetime. If you guys get a chance to go to Haiti and do a mission trip, you should do it. It really changed my outlook on a lot of things. But the reason I went back and I never really started 75 hard was I always had something on my calendar, and it never really went back to like eating. It always went back to like drinking, having a good time. So it's like if I go on a golf trip, it's like, yeah, I want to have some beers with my boys. Or if I go, AFC Championship, which was very hard after we won to not. There
was a free shot that was given out to everybody that was a fan around the bar. There was literally like 100 people all toasting.
Yeah,
and me and Kyle are like having a Dasani.
Yeah, and it's not like I'm an alcoholic or even drink all that much, but you don't realize unless you take alcohol completely out of your diet how many social things that happen where you drink, and it feels like to maximize those times you have to have a drink. And what I've learned through this portion of 75 hard is that, you can have a fucking great time at the AFC Championship game, and it can be an awesome experience, and you don't have to drink anything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And for a long time, I guess that was the thing that worried me, was I never wanted to compromise, exciting things in my life, big events that were happening, and putting any kind of like, I can't, I have to go into this and not be able to drink or not be able to, in my head, previous to doing this, enjoy it to the full amount and, maximally enjoy it.
And that's the really like keen point to make, is that there's been a turning point in your life here where, you used to look at drinking as like, well, this is the max level of fun I can have doing this activity. Yeah. Right. You kind of go back and you get nostalgic about those memories of the times where you have enjoyed some beers with your boys doing this or that. And it's like you just don't have any other memories because that's always what you guys did.
Yeah.
So it's like now you're just trying it out and you're like, well, this wasn't even bad at all. Why did I think that I needed to do that? Yeah. And it's just, that's a powerful thing.
There is, I will say that, there are plenty of, as far as alcohol goes, alcohol very bad for you in pretty much every health parameter there is. There are some positives to alcohol because I do think it has the ability to increase experience in some capacity, but there also is a whole different level of things too, where it's like, man, but when you wake up, the day after the AFC Championship game, I got up at 5:30 in the morning. I felt great. Yeah. Felt great. Was like watching freaking, plenty of reruns and stuff like that. And it's like, had I gone down the path of really enjoying the AFC Championship night, I would have probably slept in the next day till 10 a.m. or something like that.
Oh, it always affects the next day.
It's a totally different experience, and so I guess that's kind of a long-winded way of saying as to why I've always not started 75 hard. Also, since having kids, I've never wanted to feel like I was putting my wife or my family in a position where that seemed selfish from my standpoint, because it's a lot. It's there's been times where it's put a little bit of pressure on Kim, while I've been doing this, and if you don't have the right person who's supportive of you and encouraging you, then it can obviously be a detriment to your life.
And that's a piece of advice that I think you need to give here, is that like when you have a partner and you're doing 75 hard, they're doing it with you whether they're actually following through the steps or not. And there was one time, of course, Hannah's been very supportive of me throughout the whole process, but I will say there was one time where she was like kind of passive aggressive in the way that she was talking to me about, what am I doing when I get home? She's like, hey, can I hang out with a girlfriend tonight? Or I'm going to do that. Is that cool with you? Because we hadn't talked about any of that. And it was like, well, I was planning on hanging out with her that night. And she's like, well, you're just going to probably have still all your workouts to do when you get home, because I know it's this kind of day and it's a really busy day for you. So you're going to have to do like both your workouts after you get home. So I probably won't even get to see you until like 9:30. And I'm like, are you trying to tell me that you'd like it if I got all my stuff done before I came home so we could actually hang out? Mm-hmm. And she's like, mean kinda, So more or less I was like, okay, I need to prioritize making sure that like, it's not, this is very true. And this is where, the value is here, is that make sure that you have a plan of when you're going to do it every day, and try to stick to that plan of what you're going to do every day, because she just became at the mercy of 75 hard for me when she's planning on spending time with me, yet I can't do it because I prioritized other things along the day. I let other things take me off my path that day. And I tell myself, well, I can still knock it out later and later and later and later and later. And to the point where now it's like she's already asleep and I'm getting done with my walk. And that's happened several times where I'm like going outside, getting my workout in at 10:30 p.m.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the 75 hard, a lot of people have criticisms of it, like, oh, it's too extreme, or, it's this or that. And I always kind of laugh when I see that, because I'm like, it's really not that extreme.
It's also never been a person that said that's done it. Yeah. Never one time has it been somebody who's actually followed through with it.
Yeah, and here's the thing is, like, I look at it and I'm like, it's a discipline and scheduling program. Right? Mm-hmm. Because the actual working out,
more for mindset than it is for
the
results.
Working out, there is no stipulations on the working out, so you can go for a walk.
Yeah.
And there's no stipulations on the diet, so you can eat maintenance calories. Right? So like when people are like, it's extreme, I'm like, it's not extreme at all. It's just forcing you to schedule out what you're doing and have discipline every single day to do it. And
the most extreme part, of course, for everybody, and that's like the fun one that everybody likes to put on their social media, is like, still got it in, and it's like snowing or it's raining and you're still outside getting your outdoor workout in.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick, because in 75 hard, that is the thing that bothered me at the beginning the most. And
because it was obviously January, just to be clear.
No. So I obviously have all the gear in the world to make walking outside not uncomfortable.
Kyle is a phenomenal duck hunter. He's got head to toe gear to be
phenomenal,
warm.
But I have enough gear that going outside and walking outside in the cold does not bother me at all. What was bothering me at the beginning of it is I have an Echo bike, I have a rower, I have a lot of stuff inside that I could just stay inside and have a 10 times better workout.
It took me everything not to say that, so the cold didn't bother you anyway.
What do you mean?
You were quoting Elsa from Frozen.
Oh, I don't. I've 100% watched Frozen maybe 1,000 more times than you. And,
no, I've got the 3-year-old. What are you talking about, Addie? And we did it last night. Literally last night.
I've gotten 2 levels of it. So
okay,
if you'd need to have a whole nother.
I'm just saying. You're like, cold's never bothered me. Blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, sorry. Cold
never bothered me anyway. Anyways, So anyways, the cold doesn't bother me, but what did bother me at the beginning was that I felt like I couldn't get a good workout outside. Because if I'm wearing coveralls and if I'm wearing, it's like, yeah, you can ride an Echo bike, and that's what I do, is I ride my Echo bike outside, but it's just you're not going to crank up the intensity in the same capacity as if you were inside.
That's true. And that's relative to now you're having to recognize that like there's other value in working out besides
here's
gassing
the
yourself
value.
out.
Here's the value. It was annoying to me every day, and I still had to do it.
Right.
So
it wasn't what you liked.
The value wasn't that. The value isn't that it's increasing, my aerobic capacity or anything like that. Even though it has over time, the value was that it would annoy the shit out of me that I couldn't just stay inside and have, in my eyes, a better workout, and I had to go outside. And
get in quotes a worse workout.
A worse workout.
Yeah.
But I told myself I wasn't going to budge off the stipulations of the program, and so I just kept doing it, and I started to realize that is the value. The value is not the workout. The value is having something that you are annoyed by every single day, but you do it anyways. And that's one of Andy's big things that he always talked about when we were 20-year-old kids, 22-year-old kids, is he'd be like, here's the thing about successful people. Successful people do it anyways. So if they have, a bad day, they get up and they, go through the steps that they need to be successful anyway. And
then they don't budge on these details. So the rigidity of what it has to be is what it has to be. And so that completely plays into how, our business model and how we help people, so on and so forth.
It just goes back
it's not convenient.
It goes back to discipline. And it was one of those things where it took me a while to realize what it was doing to me. But, in your life, we always say that, people most of the time are water. They're going to look for the path of least resistance. And I'm a person who likes to put myself into hard positions, but you kind of get used to the hard positions that you like putting yourself in, if that makes sense.
Well, that's your hard workouts, for example.
So like hard workouts, it's like I like hard workouts if they're what I want to do, right? I'll make myself die if it's a workout that I like, right? But I had kind of veered away from, doing things that I didn't want to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so technically an outside walk or, doing, an echo bike outside for 45 minutes is easier than what I typically would do, but it was something that I didn't want to do and that I had to do every single day. And so the value was in the discipline to do something that I was annoyed by or that I didn't want to do every single day.
And to be truthful for everybody listening is if you didn't sign yourself up for doing 75 hard and you've been really good for, let's say, 30 days in a row on something, on a day you just really don't feel like it and it's not, something you signed up for, it's very easy, very, very easy to sell yourself on, I don't need to do this.
And that's the slippery slope. And that's how you slip right back into like,
Which brings us to our next point. I've done 75 hard before and here I am back again. Right. You can find the, Luke, you throw up that, I have like a transformation photo and some gray sweat shorts, I believe. That was my last time I did
some gray shorts. I hope that there's, never mind.
Yeah. Classic single Jeff. Oh, yeah. But yeah, dude, I got semi-ripped from the nips up. But anywho.
Look at them traps. Trap daddy.
Always.
That's what I love. I love a shirtless Jeff picture for the traps.
Thanks, Dad, for the genetics. Worked shoulders out never. So bottom line, this was like my best transformation I'd had to that point in my life. And I wasn't even worried about like the vanity of it. And so that's really the beauty of it. If you're somebody who struggles with self-image, if you're somebody who has an issue with, just always picking yourself apart in the mirror and so forth. I love 75 hard or doing Operation Transformation because it's not what you look like in the mirror at the end, basis. It's about just actually sticking to it every day and turning it into a lifestyle. That by far for me was my favorite part of it, was just simply being able to look at the results, and the results is, did I do it this many times in a row? Did I stick with what I said I was going to do? And it is very much the reward is the process and not the end result, right?
For sure.
And so I told myself, so like this is a huge transition now, right? Everybody and this is everybody that would say, argues with 75 hard is like, well, what are you going to do after? Right? It's too extreme.
I had a buddy that just asked me that. He goes, what
are you doing on day 76?
He goes, what are you doing on day 76? He's like, don't most people just go back to doing the shit that they were doing before the 75 days?
You like to think that they would if you were somebody who is a detractor and who is like somebody who like doesn't want to actually say there's value here, right? Mm-hmm. But the truth of it is that once you find value in something, you don't forget it. You can use that, against your actions, but what's valuable now because you've experienced it. Because the truth is, I had never been so disciplined. 75 days in a row. I mean, dude, I can do anything for 30, right? But that was such an arbitrary number. And I'm not kidding. Like me and Kyle, obviously we're with Andy we've been working with Andy for, for me, 15 plus years. So like when he came out with this whole program, I was like, why 75, dude? I didn't get it at first. And I was like, that's just not even that's just such a weird number, right? And it's like just enough days to screw up any kind of plan you possibly had to have fun. Yeah. Like it's just enough days to tell yourself, I don't want to start.
Quarter of the year?
We think 90 would be right. Like, 3 months.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So
edit that out, Luke.
Yeah. 75 days. And so anywho,
I'm not a smart man.
You get done with 75 hard and you're like, now what? And I told myself, and this is where I want to, heed some warnings, right? So I get done with 75 hard. I'm like, all right, you know what I'll do? I'll do 75 hard every day. But if I want to pick one thing, that I don't want to do, I will not do it. So it's like if I want to go out on a Friday night, have some drinks, cool. But when I drink, it's usually a slippery slope. You're going to eat like shit with that drinking, right? Late night run to Taco Bell or whatever it may be, right? I might DoorDash some food or something because I'm drunk or I'm having beers and fried food tastes great with beer, right? And then you have the other aspect of it. So if I'm like, okay, Saturday night or Sunday morning, I want to go have a brunch with someone, I might have something off menu that's not typically good for when you're on a diet. But you know what? I'm not going to have any mimosas or any drinks with it to go with it. And I'll still get in an outdoor workout and I'll still get in, my 10 pages of reading. All of these good, healthy habits that are obviously things that are supportive of somebody who is trying to move forward in life. And so anywho, that sounded really good. Did it sound really good to you when I just said it? Because it sounded good to me.
You told me that originally.
I know.
I actually was supportive of it. I was
Yeah.
like, dude, that is a good idea. You should probably try and do that.
Yeah. And so here's the thing. When you say, I'm going to, it was like, let's say like the first time that this like failed me was like probably like a weekend trip, I believe, to like visit some buddies in Colorado. And it's like day one, I can do that. But now I'm like hanging out with 5 people that do not value an active lifestyle. They're not looking to eat the right foods and exercise every day. And that's why your environment's so important. Because day 2, I'm like, of this trip, I'm like, well, we go out and have breakfast. And I already said, oh, I'm allowed to have one day or one thing off the plan, right? And then just more and more opportunities come your way where you can mess up. And because you weren't like intentional, here's the value. You got to be intentional of exactly which one you're going to mess up before the day starts. Because what I did there was start having the negotiation with yourself on which one you're going to bend on. Every day, you can't do that. Because once you start saying, hey, let's say I'm not going to exercise today outside. Well, you might start if you don't have that conversation or whatever, right? You might have already used your get out of jail free card and had a bad brunch, and then it starts snowing outside and you're like, no, I really don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And because you're not on 75 hard and you're not answering to anybody else.
There's nothing holding you to it.
Correct. Yeah. So now you're like, that's the same conversation we had when you were like, 30 days into 75 hard and you're like, I don't feel like doing this anymore. Well, you're on 75 hard, so you're doing it. Mm-hmm. Well, now I'm on a vacation. Now I'm with friends. These are all the peak reasons why people don't start diets, right? Like I'm literally paying money to go have fun, to go do these things. Why am I subjecting myself to this like not fun part for no other reason besides this arbitrary, rule I put over myself, this belief system I put over myself a month ago for no other reason, because I'm not even on 75 hard. So that was the bullshit conversation that I had with myself that justified my actions on this day. And on that day, I went back to being a different person. That makes sense? Mm. I mean, it's deep. So you go in there and you're like, I don't really need to do this. So why am I doing this? And I didn't get into, and this is where this 75 hard has been so strong for me, is because you got to do it because you respect yourself. You got to do it because you love yourself. You got to do it because you want to serve yourself and do the things that you need to do to be the person that you truly want to be in life. And it's like, you got to say like, hey man, here I am. Like, I'm a disciplined person. Like, that means more to me than having a couple beers with my buddies today, and I didn't recognize the bigger picture when I make these decisions, but I can see now when you're making these decisions, these are really, really impactful decisions.
Yeah. When my buddy asked me that, I told him basically that self-discipline.
What you're doing on day 76. That's what he asked, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
He was asking in general, like, don't most people just go back to being, whatever they were prior?
Eat the way you used to eat, look the way you used to look.
And I said, in my experience, self-discipline is something that builds over time. It's not you have it or you don't have it. It's people have varying amounts of it. And I think the more things that you put yourself through that require high amounts of discipline, build that self-discipline more and more and more. For me, it's every time that I'm putting myself into a situation where I have to make decisions that are requiring self-discipline, it's building my confidence in who I am. And back to what you were saying, it's like if I go on that vacation, I'm not thinking about, oh, I can only drink this today, or I can only eat this today, or I'm, drink beer, whatever. I'm not thinking about any of those stipulations at all, because who I am as a person, I'm a fit and active person, right? So I'm going to exercise probably when I'm on vacation in some capacity. I'm not a person who's going to overindulge just because that's just not who I am, and so I'm going to eat, foods that I want to eat, but I'm also not going to be, a glutton about it. And that's who I am. And that's been built over time through doing a lot of things that are like 75 hard, going through hard things in the past and building my confidence into the person that I am today. Right. So I don't have to think like that anymore. I literally, when I go on vacation, I'm just going to go have a good time. And the person that I am is going to make sure that I come back and I'm not a total fat ass.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think
it's easy to separate those things now.
What I'm saying is that you have to go through things that are difficult and build that discipline and build that self-confidence to ever get to that place to where you don't have to think about things like that anymore. And that's not to say I'm a finished product, because obviously I came out of the holidays and I was like, shit, dude, I need to do something. I felt like my life was kind of in disarray. So you can be a person who has quite a bit of discipline, quite a bit of, self-confidence in who you are as a healthy person, and still need some stipulations at some times to kind of rebuild that muscle, to kind of work that muscle that, Yeah,
Andy calls it momentum, right? Just getting building momentum again. And so, it's stacking up good decisions,
correct,
right? And so I'm in a situation where, I have always been the kind of person, because I lacked that self-worth core value that you kind of have, that foundation, which I think a lot of people can relate with. And that's why I love our yin and yang as a relationship, Kyle, because you've not struggled with that as much as I have. And I feel like I can relate to other people, and you can relate to other people as well. But when it comes to this, like, if I make a bad decision, years and years and years, I was the guy that when I make a mistake, right? Let's say, you want to be perfect, and you don't want to even sign yourself up for things unless you can be perfect at it, which has always been my thing. It's like, well, I don't want to do that because I'm not going to be the best at that. So I wouldn't put myself in uncomfortable positions, right? Which is obviously like not healthy. So you got to put yourself in uncomfortable positions. And so anywho, I would mess up on a diet, right? And when you do that, I'd feel so much shame, so much guilt. You're like, dude, what's the freaking point? I just messed it up again, right? So you like, and this was the meme that once I really loved that related best with this. It's like, when you pop a tire, you don't get out of the car and say, whoa, are you serious? Pop tire, and just pull out a knife and just start going at the other three.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing, man? Just fix the tire and go. What do you got? Like, you messed up. It's okay. Give yourself some grace and move forward. It's unbelievable to me the amount of years that it took me to actually be okay with messing up and saying, that's cool. You're still a good person. You're still a disciplined person. You're still somebody who respects themselves, loves themselves.
Yeah,
so
you got
so
to give
forth.
yourself leniency. That's actually
grace,
why, you on 75 hard and having a diet that's more lenient, I think is a positive, healthy thing for you. Because like, I've always wanted you to get to the point with your diet where you don't have to be as strict about it as mine.
Right. I've always done stringent rules. So I've always been an all the way on or all the way off person. And so if you can relate to being that kind of person, 75 hard is so good for you in the sense of, if you're giving yourself a diet that is the one that's difficult for you to stick with, which for me, which has always been moderation. It's like, if I'm going to have that thing that you really love, you're going to go all in on that thing. As in, like, I can't just have like a slice of pizza. It's like, I got to like eat it till I hate myself. I got to eat ice cream until I can't breathe. You know what I mean? Like, literally, I've been a binge eater forever. And so it's just something that, any of my friends that are close to me know this 100% about me. And so it's been fun to watch, myself grow as a person in the sense where I can we're talking like, there's these new, these like little ice cream bites that are like bonbons more or less, from Trader Joe's. They're like literally the size of like I don't know, doesn't matter. They're small. And so I literally can have one of those and I'm like, that was great. Like, that was my dessert and I feel great about it. It was a sweet, did my sweet tooth kill, and I'm good, and I move forward. And dude, that's just not been me ever. So
yeah, I really hope that eventually over time you can get emotionally detached from food, because that's kind of the way that I am. And when you talk about food, sometimes I'm like, bro,
that was you with beer though,
that's
right?
Just, yeah, I'm not emotionally attached to beer either.
Right.
I'm more I just don't get, I guess it's one of those things where, during 75 hard, I've been doing, 2,700 calories a day. I do 200 grams of protein a day, and I do not think about it beyond that. That's it. I just track everything and I don't care. I choose not to eat things like bonbons, but it's not because I couldn't put them into my macros. It's because I don't have like an emotional, like,
you're more evolved though. And so my point is that like,
exactly,
I think
that's what I'm trying to get you. That's like my ultimate, I would love for you to get to that point.
But I'm saying that like, I'll put it this way, like, you started, like, imagine you're starting a sport, right? And, you're naturally really, really good at it. Right.
Better than Freddie Ford. That's for sure.
Yeah. So imagine imagine like, you've always known how to skate. Well, you've never had an issue. Like, not, I'm just saying, like, pick any sport where you just naturally were good at it. Something that you just never struggled with. So I'm just saying that, like, I had such a hard time like evolving And it's because of my identities that I've had and I've, belief systems I've put over myself over the years. So imagine you're somebody who is trying to lose weight, but you also identify as a foodie, which is a thing that I identify myself as, right? I love food. People always go to me for the food recommendations, right? Me and Hannah run an Airbnb business, and like some of the most positive reviews we get are all about the food recommendations that we give because they're so in depth. We also have a food blog Instagram page, in case you didn't know. So all of these things are the bullshit that you tell yourself.
It's kind of like a heroin addict being like, "Oh, dude, I have this page, and it tells you where like the best heroin is. It's fucking great. It's a great page."
I know
people always love my opinion on heroin.
Sounds super extreme. But that's because I am. Yeah. I'm an extreme person, and so like I don't do anything half-assed. Like if I sign myself up for it, I want to do it the real way, all the way. See as far as we can get with it, right? But bottom line is, it took me a lot of years, and I hope that this can really help somebody where your identity that you give yourself, the limiting beliefs that you put over yourself is like, yeah, I could do that, but I love drinking beer with my friends, which was, where you were at some point in your life. Like at one point you had to say, well, that is who I've always been, but that's not really what's going to get me to who I want to be. Right? What got me here is not going to get me there. If I want to truly level up in life, and that's not financially, like this is just who you are as a person, and feel like I am becoming a better person. I'm fulfilling my potential of who I am. You have to really sit with yourself. We're talking like solitude, sit with yourself, no phones, no nothing, and say, okay, take inventory on who I've been to this point and who do I want to be and what's the gaps there and what am I doing to fill in those gaps? And are my actions every day actually aligning with those things? And man, if everybody took the time to do that, the world would be a totally different place. But it's
very true.
It's a very difficult place to get to because you have to look at yourself in the mirror for a really long time, and it's pretty difficult to do. But yeah, man, I sat with that for a really long time, and I was like, dude, I always told myself like, oh, Kyle's the disciplined guy. I'm not the disciplined guy. I'm more of the talking guy. And I'm like, man, do I respect that? I don't know if I do. I got to become the disciplined guy. And so the 75 hard's been pretty cool for that. I think that's the biggest takeaway or the greatest takeaway I've had from it is just like doing it for me, not doing it for approval of others.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it's a process. I'm proud of you for going through the process because I know how different we are in a lot of different aspects when it comes to food and exercise. And so, I'm proud to watch you go through it, and I know it's difficult for you at times, but I think that it's making you a better person.
What do you want to do on the 75th day for the workout? We got to do something cool.
Doesn't matter to me.
Let's do something cool. I don't know whatever it is, but we'll do it. We'll do something cool.
Yeah,
I'm trying to cook up some kind of like.
I thought you were going to ask me what's the first thing I'm going to eat after the 75 days.
We'll get there.
I'm not.
What'd you say, Luke? Oh, dude, that's not cool.
I got to go. By the
All
way,
right.
so
Yeah,
we got to wrap it up. But anyways, yeah, I'm not, as far as like after the 75 days is over, I actually haven't been getting any kind of cravings. The only craving I got was when I walked into Ward Parkway. Was it you that brought the donuts or somebody brought donuts? And I was like, holy shit, that's the first time I've gotten hit where I'm like, man, I really would like a donut. And then I just moved on. I think I smelled them, and then I moved on, and I was like, well, I guess I can't have a donut. So
that's part of the
well.
So part of habits, right? It's like cue. You have a cue, and then that cues the craving. Like the craving can happen for me. It's like just walking into Quick Trip is the cue, and then the cravings hit after that, and then you have to like control the impulse there, right? Impulse control, other ability that you got to learn during this, right?
Yep.
So bottom line, 75 hard. It's an awesome tool. There's not a single person that has ever completed 75 hard and said that wasn't good.
For sure.
Not a single soul that I've ever met.
You get out of it what you put into it, and then also, the extremeness of it. Again, guys,
it's relative.
It's relative to where you're at in life. But one thing,
my mother is 70 years old. She's 71 now, but she completed 75 hard, at least 60 plus days of it at 69 years old.
Yeah. And you have to understand that, it's not a program. It's not a fitness program. It's more of a self-discipline program, and it's more of a scheduling program. And that's one thing that's really helped me out with. Last thing I want to talk about real quick is, like I said, give a shout out to my wife because she's helped me out so much. She has been, an awesome partner in all this, and really made a big difference in my ability to succeed doing this, because she's had to make sacrifices in this as well. But I think those sacrifices has made a big difference in our family as far as me being a better dad, better husband, and being more present when I am spending time with my kids. There's a lot of truth to, you need to take care of yourself first to be able to take care of other people. And, 75 Hard has basically been a way for me to make sure that I'm putting myself, I'm taking time to myself, every single day.
That's awesome, man. That's all we got for you guys this week. Appreciate you guys taking the time to listen.
Thank you guys.
If you haven't already, please share the podcast. Please make sure you're subscribing. And we also got in some sweet new merch, new t-shirts. Hit up proteinbrospodcast.com and check out the new gear. Also, if you are local, head up any supplement superstores. Let them know that you are a subscriber. Show them that on your phone, and they will hook you up with a shirt on the house. That is right. Completely for free. Appreciate you guys supporting the podcast. We are Kansas City's #1 fitness podcast. Please make sure that you are sharing it up. It's the only thing we ask, and we will talk to you soon.
Peace, guys.